Do, 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 do. Welcome back. This is Maxim at Maxim Grunin Art. Let's have a painting session. The canvas is just a piece of utility cardboard, just a piece of a cardboard box. The reason for choosing this material is it doesn't buckle when it's wet too quickly, so it's really nice for using acrylic over it. It is a cheap, readily available surface to work on that is more sturdy and more absorbent than a piece of paper. And so it's almost like a perfect cardboard for doing a study, any study in drawing, in painting. Like most mediums will interact well with this cardboard surface. The drawback, the not such a good thing about it is that it's not a nice material to exhibit with in a gallery or to bring for. So if I wanted to create a lasting and more valuable object, I would use canvas or board, like wood, just a wood panel. Well, nevertheless, I do a lot of these studies, and it's nice to just have a bunch of cardboard painted up. And the size, look at I'm able to cut a piece of cardboard that's a fairly nice size. That, like, those heads are roughly almost the actual size of the human head, which is a nice size, like nice scale to handle in an art project. It's not too small, it's not too big, it's just like a regular actual size. So what are my strategies here? What am I doing? What am I thinking? I diluted black acrylic, and with a type of brush that's often used with watercolor. It's a soft nylon brush that has a pointy tip, so it absorbs well and quite a bit of paint, but also it has this capacity to draw with the fine point, like kind of a fine drawing point on it. And that's what I used. I diluted a bunch of black acrylic with water, just like sprayed it and mixed it with water, and then I selected a picture of a couple kissing, female and a male, or just two humans sharing a kiss. And I I drew the figures in at first, roughly and generally, and with a lot of keen observation. So I was really careful about sizing and figuring out the proportions of these heads. I drew them in, made sure that everything looks proportionate and fits well and looks believable and looks inspiring and wonderful, in agreement with my creative interest or creative project. Like, I set out my own criteria. I want to see a certain picture. Then once the diluted black lines and the drawing was in, I started to block in major areas of mid-tone, a little bit of light. The surface of the cardboard is already brown, so it's a mid-tone, so I can work slightly towards the light, slightly towards the dark as well. So here I am mixing variation of grays, from dark to light and back, and I am following along my artwork. I'm looking at a picture and I'm picking up on like which way is this area of shadow going, how is it interacting with the next area of shadow, where is the light attaching to it. So I'm just like little by little distributing dark, mid-tone and light information. That's my thinking. And awareness is that the brush is capable of giving me like a really fine and thin line, and also it's capable of like creating these broader brush strokes. So I'm combining that, like I would, under the woman's chin, I would carefully like draw where the background is, and you see how the outlines, they're not simple, they're not 90 degrees. She's got like a softer spot under the chin, then there's a kink in the outline, and then there's a chin, and then it curves upwards and becomes a lower lip, becomes the upper lip, and becomes next set of dark areas versus mid-tone and light areas. And my strategy is to travel with my observation, so I'm tracing what I'm seeing, coordinating it with my hand, and carefully, slowly and patiently describing with dark, mid-tone and light what I'm seeing. And due to me having an extensive amount of experience and also like a fairly clear understanding of the method that I'm using, I pretty much stick with that flow, get into that flow of describing dark, mid-tone and light information, and slowing down quite a bit to just like really assess. So think and aim a lot longer than I actually paint. And so I'm interested in communicating to you the methods of the art production that I learned about and that I solidified in my practice through over time with experience and with keen interest in just like so practice makes perfect, but I'm joking about the perfect, but practice does help a lot. So just get into a habit of moving paint around the way I'm doing it, like just show up for a painting session on weekly, daily basis. I would say right now I'm on a permanent holiday. I'm just pretty much I get to travel and do art and live a low carbon footprint lifestyle, but that's just like a whole other ball game. But I do have the time to allocate. I am free enough and I have enough resources to allocate like quite a bit of time for art practice. And when I worked and when I studied, because it was all in the area of fine art, and drawing and painting foundation is my kind of a bread and butter area. So I had and I still do have lots of input of energy on weekly, daily basis into the artwork. So I want to just keep talking about what I'm doing, bringing sets of notions and the method of how I put it together, and little by little I can share it that way with you. And there's no like miraculous transformation for anyone who is starting or learning about art. It will have to be through this just consistent repetition and consistent showing up for yourself to do art projects with yourself, for the sakes of doing art. So it's art for the sakes of the act of art, and this is just you perfecting and developing a skill set and a mastery that is valuable to you and that makes sense to you. And of course this is applicable as a it's a real skill, and for those who are interested in working in the area of fine art, there is a way, you know, for those who are seeking, they usually find. And yeah, you know, so I like everyone to be empowered and to share with them what we can do. So we're observing me create this painting, this study in acrylic. I'm using black and white primarily, and sometimes the camera makes things vivid and shows it a little more blue or a little bit, but you know, and you would this kind of painting would look lovely in other colors as well. So I noticed that, you know, I've was really careful, and I selected and I drew this image before I started the painting so that I could study it and so that I could be prepared for the video. So when I went off and started this project for the video, I was already like warmed up and trained, you know, to draw it, and plus all the rest of my experience and so on. But I noticed that I particularly was quite happy with how the faces gained individual characteristics. You know, there's a masculine and a feminine. There's I really paid attention to bold and blocky areas of dark, mid-tone, and light. So I tried not to overwork anything, and I left things like a little raw, a little expressive, and just kind of, you know, less definition, less work means more to me here. So once I got to this point where the images, like, they look good enough for already, like I like the ear, I like how the expressions of the faces are, you know, worked quite a bit on that. Then I thought I also like using palette knife and mixing the paint and create abstract elements in the background and overlap and kind of go into the objects or the subjects in the actual, like, you know, the girl's hair has gotten some abstract strokes, and that is something that I also do in my practice. Like I got lots of paintings in the past that I explored this kind of image making combination where there is a satisfying and compelling realism and illustrative, like, you know, there it is, those people are they're kissing and it's a reflection and it's painted, it's got these wonderful kind of brush strokes and dimensions to it. And then there's this really cool and expressive element of the abstract smears and brush strokes of paint. And like somehow when those surfaces interact, there is this I don't know, it's like it's moving and expressive. Like I'm getting movement, expression, I'm getting like just this whole unique experience of a painting. Well, thanks guys, that's the end of the